11:30, I think is when it's gonna really end, my guess. So anybody can come to this, and if you didn't come to yesterday and you still want to come tomorrow, that's okay. They're all standalone classes. You can come. Tuesday is our database workshop. Bradley Green, tell me all about it.
Well, if you're looking to make your database more efficient, try and implement some systems to reach out to your SOI in a easier manner, hit the 36 touches. This is the class to be at. It's gonna be easy, it'll be fun, and we'll just work together to build out some of your systems.
Love it. Thanks, Bradley. Wednesday, we have our More Club event. So those of you that aren't familiar, that stands for the Masters of Real Estate. So once you hit a certain volume, you're invited into this very exclusive club that we do quarterly events on. This one, I want to give a humongous shout out to Bradley for helping get it all set up, for Ken for bringing in our division specialists. So it is all around social media and the rules really of social media and what you need to do from a broker's perspective. And then Bradley, what's happening right after that?
After that, we're going into content creation, a little PowerPoint, and then we're gonna open it up for you guys to create your own videos.
What?
And just have some content for you to film.
Hey, he's gonna be ready for you. You know what, guys? I'm gonna let my tiny hands come so that if you guys want to do some videos with your tiny hands, you can. With my tiny hands, these ones are kind of dirty, so wash them first.
Yeah, I just want to add that the social media class, we're going to have the chief investigator for the division here. So you're going to have a great source of information on that. She's going to have a short PowerPoint presentation, and then we're going to open it up to questions. So if you've ever had a question about what you can and cannot do on social media, be there or regret it. I mean,
be there or be square.
right out of the horse's mouth.
Can we like have some kind of
Anonymous. Here's division investigator.
My name is Wesley.
Do this. For a friend. It's not getting our brokerage. So I'm asking for someone else. Couldn't do this. So please don't ask us if you've done it. We're going with the forgiveness, not permission phase right now. So just ask for a friend, then no one knows it's you.
Another agent and another broker.
Well, it's better to say, I saw some of Coldwell Banker do that.
Right.
We have Commander Opportunities and DocuSign. Lauren, do you want to tell us about that one?
This is the most important part of command because you can't get unless you use an opportunity. So crucial for you to know how to do this. So come learn how this works, and then DocuSign, obviously, let's make your life a little bit easier. So
Hey, awesome. And then Friday, we have compliance with Ken. We're going to talk about MLS hacks for new agents. If you're a new agent and you're not really super familiar with MLS, show up 9:30, Zoom or in person. We have our market update coming up. It is the Q4 of 2024 market update. It is via Zoom. It is January 30th from 10 to 11:30 with the one and only Johnny Christensen and his better half, Clay Winder, who are going to be here to go over all the stats of 2024 for us. They're not going to be here. They're going to be here in a computer. You guys, I saw quite a few of you in this today, and it made my heart so happy. So Dalton Clark, if you guys don't know this guy right here, he's hilarious and very smart. And he is putting together every single morning, Monday through Friday, conversation frameworks. There's a beginner class, there's an advanced class. If you want to be in the advanced class, you need to contact Dalton specifically. Why? Because he wants to make sure you're actually committed. Even if you're not a beginner, but maybe you kind of are a little sucky at conversations right now and you need to get better at them because we all need to have conversations. I saw some of your faces when I said you had to have a conversation with somebody you had to talk to in 24 hours. And some of you had a face on that was like, I don't want to talk to people. You have to talk to people. It's in our business. So it is every weekday at 8:59 a.m. right here in this room, and it's going now. Ignite, we already talked about, but it is going now every night starting at 5 p.m. It ends on February 7th. You can see that teeny tiny little handwriting. If you want to scan the QR code for details or to RSVP, is that what they're scanning?
Yep.
It will tell you all the details of which class is coming up when. Okay, we're doing back to the ALC and all of our fun ideas we're doing. So one thing that I'm going to do is these are high five hands. And we need to give each other some high fives a little bit more, because you know what? The world can sometimes be hard, and why aren't we cheering each other on more than we are? So there's a stack of high five hands up in that room. You'll see them outside Sean's office, and go and just read. There's fun little high fives that people are giving each other. So if somebody in the office does something for you that you're like, man, that was just really nice. That made my day. Fill out a little high five, big or small, and let them know that you love them. Okay. Then second, our cultural icon award winner. As an office, we've normally worked with one, like our specific cultural ambassador for the ALC and the leadership team to come up with the cultural icons, but we want to hear more from you on who's doing things inside the office, creating great culture in the community, just going above and beyond for somebody that you see. So we're going to give a cultural icon winner today, and then the job, should they choose to accept it, of that cultural icon winner of the month is to take this beautiful one-of-a-kind trophy, and they will find someone who will receive it the next month. So they'll bring this back along with, you'll let a member of the leadership team know, we'll help you with the bio and all that, but we need details on why you think this person deserves the cultural icon of the month. If you're struggling, it means you probably need to hang out a little bit more with us to get to see some people that are making an impact in our office and in the community at large. And then also the high five wall is a great way to check it. If you see one name a lot up there, it probably is a pretty good indicator that person's doing something really great. So this month, this person is a cherished member of our brokerage and exemplifying professionalism, compassion, and tireless commitment to those around her. It's a she, sorry, I just gave it. This person, she was born and raised in Pennsylvania. She graduated from the University of Delaware with a Bachelor in Science and Human Resources, specializing in merchandising. Catherine started laughing. You gave it away first. Catherine's passion for sales is unmatched, and her experience spans a variety of roles, including retail management and real estate, both in California and Utah. She spent 6 years, successful years as a licensed realtor in Ventura County, California, before bringing her expertise to Utah. Beyond real estate, Catherine's a multifaceted individual. She manages a small ranch with beef cattle. So if you guys need some beef, Catherine's your gal. Maybe, do you have some or just not yet? Not right now. So maybe contact her in the fall. She serves as a pampered chef sales consultant. She inspires others around her to connect at the dinner table with quick, affordable meals. A proud wife and mother of 4 incredible young adults, Catherine and her family embrace every season, especially Utah's snowy winter. And if you follow her on social media, you know that's true because you'll see all the fun posts of the morning chores. Catherine's passion for finding homes for her clients is rivaled only by her dedication to her team. Recently, she's gone above and beyond to support her fellow agent, Christy Vale, during an unimaginably difficult time, showing what it truly means to be a cultural icon of her community. Her empathy and unwavering support in the face of tragedy reflect the heart of our brokerage values, and we're honored to have her on our team. She also served on NWAR, on the education committee, has been a chair of that. And I put my own little note that she is the best coffee date around. So Catherine Graham, our first cultural icon. I'm gonna give you this. Then here's your. Viva Las Vegas, guys. We are 3 weeks away from family reunion. Jesse's like, yes, we are. Who's going to family reunion? Big raise the place. I want some more of you to be there. It's going to be great. You can still register today. There are still great prices on rooms. I've been putting some good flight deals in our Facebook page. So if you want to go to family reunion, I have never left family reunion and said, man, I wish I didn't go. Not one time ever in a long time. And I have said that at some other events, full disclosure. So it's a great way for you to network, to meet new people, and to grow your business. I promise you, you will meet somebody that will make an impact in some way. Plus, we're kind of a fun group, guys. And so you're going to have a great time. Jamie Kern-Lima is the keynote speaker. She is on Thursday morning, I believe. And she's incredible. Me and Alex are maybe right now mapping out our plan that somehow we're going to get backstage and meet her. So we'll let you guys know how that goes. We'll keep you updated, but anything you see her on, if you want to tag us, so she's starting to recognize our faces, so she doesn't call the police. That would be amazing. Sherry, that's on intent on purpose. Okay, I changed it. Okay, make sure please that you're compliant by the TCPA friendly and compliant way, making your calls. We don't want you to get fined because that's your fine, not ours, friends.
Wow.
And we're gonna come back. Do you want me to go back to that? There was a wow. I heard a wow. Listen, if someone tells you not to call them, don't call them. If they're on a do not call list, don't call them. It's weird. It's not actual brain science, but it's so close, guys. So those fines can be hefty, $500 to $1,500 per violation. So if you're just randomly calling through a list and you're at 100 people, mark a screen in your math brain, do the math for me. What if it's 100 people I called? And the fine was $1,500 per person.
And there's some-
$1,000.
There's some lead companies that are putting out leads that they are disclosing that they have scrubbed them, and agents are finding out, FYI, they're not always, they only, in the beginning, it doesn't mean that they've done it recently, so you're still.
And if someone unsubscribes, just so you can't call them anymore. Our lunch sponsor, we're coming back to this later, right, Lauren? Okay, so it is my pleasure and honor to welcome our friend Marcus Green to the stage today. True story,
International.
international. And today he's gonna grace.
Galactal. Talk to Elon. How is everyone? Good. I am so excited to be here today. I do not have the little hands and the energy the rest of you have. No, I'm good. I'll pass. We'll see. If I said, let me know, I might be like, I'm scratching here. Give me the hands. I'm excited to share some thoughts with you today. At the end of the year, I got reached out to by some leaders in Virginia, the Virginia region of KW. And they asked me to come present to the entire KW region on the East Coast. And I said, absolutely, what do you want me to talk about? And they said, we want you to talk about goals and what that looks like. And I was a little confused at first because like, well, you're having me out in January. At that point, they should already have their goals done. Like, yeah, we already got the goals set. We find people start falling off and not hitting their goals. And so it put me on this little journey of thinking through like, okay, what would be the message that people need to hear? Why is it so many people fall off after they set their goals? You think about setting your goals for the year. In the moment that you actually put ink to it, put it on a piece of paper, nobody's writing that goal down being like, I'm not doing this, right? In the moment they're writing the goal thinking like, this is the year. This is the year of change for me. This is going to happen. But something happens behind that keeps them from hitting the goal. And I said, so I put some thought and journaling into this. And I came up with 5 questions that I want to go through today that I think will could impact your probability of success on hitting your goals this year. As I go through this conversation today, I do want to point out one thing. If you see our leadership team wearing our I Love KW Agent shirts, I love that message on the front, but more importantly, I love the message on the sleeve, which says your goals equal our goals. And as you put together your goals for the year, both from a business standpoint and a personal standpoint, I want you to know that we care about you and we care about the goals you're setting for yourself. We love you for who you are, but we want to celebrate who you're becoming. We want to participate in that progression that you're going through. And because we're on a journey ourselves of becoming the best version of ourselves, we want to support you in that. And we think it's a community effort. My clicker's not working. There it goes. So I want to ask a couple of questions to lay the foundation of our conversation today. So I want to ask this question. What percentage of American adults do you think actually set goals? 1%, 62%? So this one's a little tougher to find some like actual statistics on it. But most of the articles I read said somewhere between 40 to 50% of American adults actually set goals. So let's say 45%. Is that surprising to anyone? So let's look at this. What percentage of people already have given up on their goals by January 7th? So 25% is not going to give up on their goals. So let's say out of a group of 100, 45 of them set goals, 55 of them set goals. What's that for? 45 said, I'm going to set goals. Of the 45, 25% of those were already done by January 7th. And I don't wanna give them too much credit here to say they stuck with their goals for 7 days, because let's be honest, most of us don't start our goals until like January 3rd. So like less than 4 or 5 days of sticking with their goals. So let's give them a little bit more grace and say what percentage of people give up on their goals by February 1? That's in a couple days from now. So in a couple days from now, a month, 30, 45 days ago, people put goals on a piece of paper saying this is the year. Within 30 days, what percentage of people give up on their goals by February 1? 80%. So of the 45 people that set goals, only about 10 of them, less than 10 of them are still committed or attempting their goals by February 1. What percentage of people actually achieve their goals or report to? This one is actually surprising me, 8%, which means that if you can stick with it through the first 30 days of the year, the likelihood of you hitting your goal are pretty significant. So this was interesting to me to look at. And initially I put people into two camps. Either the camp of they are goal setters or a camp that they're not goal setters. But it goes deeper than that. So I want to analyze both camps for a second. So let's talk about people that don't set goals for a minute. Why, in your opinion, do people not set goals?
Hamster wheel of life. They're on
What do you mean by hamster wheel of life? Tell me what that means.
They have their 9 to 5, have their 9 to 5. That's the thing. And they don't see anything bigger than that.
Okay, so they're kind of just caught in like, life is what it is, and I'm writing it out, okay? I heard another one.
Scared to fail.
Okay, scared to fail. I think there's a big chunk of people that have set goals before and then found themselves in this 80%. They're like, that didn't feel good to say, I'm gonna do this and then not do it. So what's my way around that? Don't set a goal. I'm scared of failure. So if I don't set a goal, I can't fail. I can't not hit it, right? I think that's a big one. What else do we see? Do you think there's some people out there that don't know how to set goals?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that aspire for something more, like a lot of people call it the hamster wheel of life. They're like, is this all life is about? Is this what it is? I got another 40 years of this, but nobody's talked to them about, hey, you're capable of more. And here's how to set goals. Here's how to progress yourself forward. It terrifies me for the people that are waking up without knowing that there's an aspiration for a better version of them. And the world is asking for a better version of them. So if you look at that, let's look at the other camp for a second and say, okay, there's people that don't know how to set goals. There's people that have fear of setting goals. There's people that have done it in the past that don't want to do it again because it hurts. That's why they're not set goals. What about on the side of people that do set goals? So they're not all created equally. We're seeing here that all of these people, 45% of these people who set goals, but only 8% hit their goals. So if we had to categorize the people that set goals, what are some categories we could put them in? Why did they set goals?
Dreamers.
Okay, so we got two of them. We got dreamers. One that is like, I would love this. Like, I've got a goal to make $1 billion this year, but I've only ever made 80,000 a year, right? The dream. What did you say? Okay, I think this is actually a big one right now. It's
That's why I laughed.
so many of us were like, I wrote down my goals, pat myself on the back and be like, done. Now, where do I store these? Put them in a filing cabinet, never look at them again until next year, right? So I think there is a big chunk of it. How many of you came to business planning clinic? How many of you have actually looked at your business plan since then? Okay, good. I love to see that. So many people go to business planning clinic and be like, I have a game plan for the year. Now let me put it aside. Now let me go back to doing business the exact way I did it before. Same thing with personal goals. I set a goal of losing 15 pounds this year. I'm excited about this. I pat myself on the back. I already feel healthier, but I'm going to go back to my exact same routine today. So I think there's a big piece of people that set goals from that perspective. Either I'm hoping or they look at it and say, I don't know what to do next. So if there's two camps, people that set goals, people that don't set goals, we see through who 8% actually achieve their goals. So let's assume that most people in this room are in the camp of we set goals. We have hope that we're going to hit our goals, but what are some things that we should be thinking about that are going to increase the probability of us hitting our goal? So these are the 5, what I call the 5 essential questions for 2025 success. By the way, I'm going to present these questions to you, but I would really love them to be conversational. So if you have a comment to make, please share it with us. So those of you that came to the SOS meeting to my house a couple months ago some of this stuff you'll see again, but I hope you can share some thoughts on it as we share it, but I've been really sitting on that formula of happiness, which we're gonna talk about in a minute. So let's talk here. Number one, is there a direct correlation between the goals you set and your happiness?
Yes.
Okay, I hope that's the answer. But here's what I think happens. A lot of us set goals in a way of what do other people think my goals should be? So for example, let's take income as a goal. A lot of us set income goals. A lot of people will look at the room and be like, oh man, these people are making 200,000 a year, 500,000 a year. I guess I should want that. I guess that should be my goal. Or this person's spending a lot of time, this person's working out twice a day. I guess I should want that. Too many of us are, particularly with social media, is where we're in scroll land, and all of a sudden within 5 minutes of scrolling, there's other people's lives that are being portrayed on you of I should want that too. So here's the question I would ask is this is, as you think about your goals, both on a business level and a personal level, can you directly tie a string between the goal and what happiness actually means to you? And if you have not defined what happiness means to you, then you cannot tie the goal together. You may be crystal clear on the goal you set, but if you don't know what happiness means to you, you cannot tell me that your goal is tied to your happiness. One thing I want to be very clear with is, and I'm going to use two terms here. One is hitting your goals and happiness are two different things. And more importantly, too many people say money is happiness. Money is money, and happiness is happiness. We all can put our fingers on money. We know how the world defines money. We all define money the same, and a dollar will buy me the exact same thing that a dollar will buy Dalton. He may be a little better negotiator than me. I don't know. But on the other side of that, he may define happiness completely different than how I define happiness. It doesn't make one of us right and one of us wrong. The point is we all need to get clarity on what happiness means to each of us. So this put me on a little bit of a journey to think about what is happiness to me. Now I'm going to share a little bit of a formula because a lot of you know I'm math nerd. So instead of writing big flowery words of what happiness is, I had to create a formula for me to say happiness equals what? Like what happens on this side of the equation so I can do those things. Okay. Right. So let's start with this. Start with the end in mind. I'm going to give you the formula in 1 second. But too many of us are so focused on the now. When we wake up in the morning, our inboxes are full, our phones are buzzing. We're so focused on the now that we forget about the end in mind. So I always like to start with the end in mind. Have you outlined what your personal mission vision statement is? A lot of you have seen my personal mission vision statement. This is part of my morning affirmation every single morning. If you were at my home computer, at my monitor, right above it now, it used to be on my wall over here, but I just took it out of my office. Right here is my personal mission vision statement. I look at it every single morning. Why do I look at it every single morning if I know what it is?
Reminder.
Keep it top of mind.
It's to remind me, and I want to make sure that I'm spiritually still connected to this mission. I have made over 9 years, almost 10 years now, I've modified this twice. This year, at the end of this year, I made 2 small modifications to this, that any single one of you that have seen this before, you would look at this and be like, it looks exactly the same. But there are 2 very specific differences in this to me that probably I'm the only person that sees it, but that's all that matters because it's mine. It's important to me. And so when one morning I said something's missing here, and I added it. I redesigned it. I have it back up. But the point I'm making with this is not saying this should be yours. The point I'm making is, do you have a mission vision of what you're trying to accomplish? And are you personally connected to it? Does it fire you up? So you have to start with the end in mind of what are you trying to accomplish. Happiness formula. So I am still working out this formula. Think about Einstein. The first time he wrote a formula out, it wasn't right. I don't know if this is right yet, but I'm working on it. I'm thinking through it. I want to share it with you. And by the way, I would love to hear if any of you have some thoughts on how to change it. Is that a hand up?
Did you just compare yourselves to Einstein? Anybody else hear that? Like, I just like,
I said I'm not Einstein.
like Einstein.
I've got the gray hair and I'm a little crazy. Okay, I'm Einstein.
Just keeping it real.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Hi, and you just need someone to knock you way down. Just call Justin. Justin's feeling so freaking good about me, so freaking good. And then Justin's gonna be like, well, you know what?
Here's reality.
Get back into reality, Rusty.
Okay, carry on. Unless you guys want Justin to teach class.
No, thank you.
You're doing
That
great.
would have been embarrassing if I was like, yes. So to me, happiness equals this. And if you remember from math class, what do the parentheses mean? Okay, you have to do what's inside the parentheses first. So purpose, which is why I showed you my personal mission vision statement before, plus relationships, plus physical health, plus spiritual health. All that happens first in that parentheses. It gives me a sum. Then I minus out materialism plus stress. So let's talk about these for a second. So number one is purpose, finding meaning in your work and life. Do you find meaning in what you do for a living?
Yes.
I hope so. I can't tell you how surprised I was over the last 2 years of how many phone calls I got from very, very successful real estate agents and entrepreneurs that from the outsider's perspective in their social media thread, you thought they were crushing it. And they're like, I think I'm done. I think I'm done. I think I'm going to go. I had one person say, I'd rather bag groceries than do this. I'm like, you'd rather go get paid $14 an hour than do this? And it wasn't about the money. It was about the emotional stress that was coming with it. So do you find me, have you lost connection with the meaning of what we do? We help people with what the biggest purchase of their life, where they're going to raise their kids. Have we lost connection with that? Do you find meaning in your work? And do you find meaning in your life? Some people get so enthralled with what we do for a living, but they forget to find meaning in their personal life. Both of them are important. Engage in activities that align with your passions and values. Again, if you don't know what your passions and values are, can you choose activities that align with them? You can't. You're choosing activities that happen to be in front of you. If we don't know what we're trying to accomplish, we choose what's the easiest, and that tends to be what's in front of you, which a lot of times creates some momentum locally, but doesn't push you towards what you want to become. Okay. Purpose gives direction and a sense of fulfillment, which is the cornerstone of happiness. By the way, one thing I want to point out before we roll through the rest of these is the other reason I got on this formula is so many people would say something along the lines of, I'm just not happy, or I can't find happiness, but they were given this blanket statement of I'm not happy, when realistically, there was a lot of things going well in their world. We can't put a blanket statement on happiness. That's why I wanted to segment it down. If you ever feel some element of unhappiness or discontent, it's not everything's broken. It's something in your world needs to shift or move. The better you are at identifying the bucket that needs your attention, everything else will flourish around it because it doesn't need to be fixed. It's just waiting for that one little wrench to be tightened. So that's why I segmented it down like this. So purpose. Number two is plus relationships. This one I think is broken in our world right now. And I think it's due to COVID. I think COVID caused so many people to back away from relationships that we went from 6 feet of distance, and then we created this emotional distance that's miles wide from people we care about. And so to me, this is something that we have to focus on. Rusty made a comment that how many of you like froze when she said, find somebody you haven't talked to for a while in a room of people that you know are here for the same purpose you are. We're nervous to talk to people in this room. Why are we so hesitant to build relationships right now? The person that will push forward on relationships and be a networker and creator of relationships is going to thrive moving forward because people are starving for that connector. They're starving for someone to trigger relationships. So invest in deep, meaningful relationships, connection with family, friends, community fosters love and support, which are critical for well-being. Happiness multiplies when shared with others. And then this one I put on here, social media trap. So many of us look at social media and say, I know what you're doing, but I really don't know how you're doing. Relationships aren't knowing what people are doing. It's knowing how people are doing. If you have to create a system for yourself, like my parents are getting older. I love my parents. This sounds horrible, but I have to create myself a reminder every week to say, did you have a weekly, real, meaningful connection with your parents? But it's helping me keep my relationship with my parents forward. But I'm so busy in life that if I didn't have that reminder, guess what would happen? 3 months would go by and I'd be like, wait, when was the last time I talked to my mom? When was the last time I checked in on my dad? So build the systems around it that you need to. Purpose plus relationships. And then too many of us give up on our physical and spiritual health. Initially, when I first wrote this formula, I had this in just as health. But I thought it was important for us to separate your physical health and your spiritual health. So physical health, prioritize your physical and mental health, regular exercise and a healthy diet. But to me, the big thing here is do something that you enjoy doing. Like if you're like, I hate running, but that seems to be the form of exercise, don't run. Find something that you like to do. but move your body. I think it's an important thing, drink enough water, and it doesn't take much to feel considerably different in your physical health. Also, I put on, what's that?
They make this with water.
Oh,
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
So it counts.
I'll shut up.
It counts. It counts. There's no sugar in it.
Right.
Just something else we'll see in 10 years what it does.
Aspartame. Even better for you.
Let's put this one on here. This one's. I think a lot of adults miss the mark on this is what personal hobby are you learning right now? How many of us love that our kids are in dance or we make our kids take piano lessons or things because we know this will help you long term. You will be a happier person if you do these things. Yeah, as adults, we don't take piano lessons. We don't join the local pickleball club. Why? Why is it that it's important for kids to have hobbies, but not adults?
Really get out of it.
That's good answer.
The funny thing is, I don't think he was joking. But I would encourage you to pick something you're passionate about. Try something new. Trying something new, even if you don't stick with it for a long time, will trigger something in your brain. It'll bring a kid back out of you of just like, I've got so segmented in my vision that I forgot there's all these wonderful things in the world outside of what I do on a day-to-day basis. A great example of this is a couple of years ago, a couple of you know that my kids are musicians. Lucy, my harpist, is an incredible harpist. And I would always say this to her after she plays, without fail, I'm so jealous of your musical ability. I wish I played an instrument. And finally, one day she says to me, Dad, you say that to me every time I play. Why don't you start playing an instrument? And she put me in my place. Who was the parent in that moment? Lucy was. And so 2 years ago, I picked up a guitar and I played the guitar every day, almost for 2 years. I don't play well, but I love it. It is the biggest piece of therapy for me to sit down and play with my guitar every day. So find something that you want to try new this year and pick it up. I promise you, you will find happiness in it. Spiritual health. So you may look at this differently. I put spiritual or soul health. I don't care what you call it, but I want you to connect with your purpose beyond what you envision for yourself. But why are you here? Why are you on this planet? Why were you here in Utah versus anywhere else in the world? And who are you supposed to connect with? But whatever this looks like for you, some element of regular mindfulness practices contribute to sustained happiness. Part of this is learning to be okay with what is. So many of us don't know how to be content with what is outside of your control. So many times when I'm coaching people, they are throwing a fit and giving energy to things they have zero control over. A great example of this was the commission lawsuits over the last couple of years. People were losing sleep and freaking out about it, but there was nothing you could do about it in the day. And realistically, the results of it weren't near what any of us thought they were going to be. But how many of us spent so much time and energy that impacted everything else around us? So what are you giving energy to right now that really is outside of your control? Take that, be okay with what is, and give energy to what you have influence over. The next one is materialism. This to me is the biggest trap of our generation, and it freaks me out for my kids. The things my kids look at and see their friends have and say, I need this, blows me away of what a teenage kid thinks they need in this world. And frankly, we do it as adults as well. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm not asking anyone here to live in wear burlap sacks and eat top ramen. That's not what I'm saying. It's okay to want nice things, but have we got clarity on what we really want, and do we really want them? How many times have you been like, I cannot wait to get this new truck or this new camera or whatever it is, and then you get it, and 3 days later, you're already on to the next thing. You're like, well, I have that. This is cool. Or you buy this thing and then you scroll on social media and somebody else has this other thing and all of a sudden you want that. Now, it's okay to be aspirational. We want you to think big, but I also want you to filter is that going to contribute to my happiness? Or is there something else that money could be used for that will actually contribute to my long-term happiness? So I think materialism is something that we all need to take a look at, particularly in a world where it's one click away. I want it, click, it's already on its way. And then when you click on it, what else does Amazon do? Well, because you wanted that, you also want these things. You're like, yes, I do.
Together.
And the last one is stress. Who here has felt stress recently? Got 2 hands up.
Yeah.
Russell, I don't know what that is. Yes.
I feel like 5 and 6 are very tied together because honestly, the more materialism type stuff you have, the more stress and burden and pressure and just that it adds. And the older I get, the more I felt simplicity is just the freedom it gives you, just it's just, it's freeing.
I love that word of freedom. A lot of us get into this business because we want more freedom, right? We want more freedom of time. We want to make more money. I was interested. I was at dinner with my brother and sister and our spouses on Saturday, and we talked about this exact thing. We were talking about, oh man, wouldn't it be fun to go back and have your little kids at home again? And it circled back around to, you know what though? The perspective we have now of life, not just in general, but just of life and like what life is supposed to look like and where happiness is really found. We wouldn't trade that to go back to have our little kids again. And I think part of that is tied here of being okay with what is and asking yourself with what you're stressed about in this moment, who invited that element into your world that's causing stress? Like, I know what causes me stress. I tend to be in a frantic, stressful push forward. And guess what? The way I'm wired is I invite that into my world. And I could be a different element of a person and say, okay, I'm going to quit taking on new opportunities. I'm going to quit pushing forward. I'm going to quit trying to grow. But there'd be less stress with that, but it'd be a different type of stress coming into my world of like, I'm not being authentic to who I am. There's stress on both sides of that. Christy.
Energy I'm gonna give it, or is there something to convert this same energy toward that's gonna be more positive?
Yeah.
And just having that awareness of asking that question, like, is this worth my energy right now?
I love that question. And I think just taking like, one, you got to recognize when you are stressed out. And then it's almost that moment of like, okay, wait a second. Like, is this worth giving this energy to right now? And I think a good question is, if I'm giving, like, your energy isn't infinite. So if I'm giving a portion of my energy to this that I have zero control over, what am I not giving energy to that I do have control over? Okay, I think about it with like, it's so funny just the perspective you have as I look at how my senior in high school, stressed out. Dad, I've got so much homework. And I want to be like, your life is the easiest it will ever get. Right? Like, you remember people made jokes like, my life is so hard. I got all these things going on. I would be like, I want to say you're being ridiculous, but that's not going to help her, right? So the point is there's some older version of me that looks at the stress I'm experiencing right now at 44 and say, you're being ridiculous. And I need to say that to myself now, like, stop being ridiculous. What am I giving energy to that I shouldn't? So this is my formula of happiness. I would love not for you just to adopt it, but what is your formula for happiness? And because I'm a nerd, I had to create the antithesis to this of the unhappiness formula, just to make sure it worked. See, I am Einstein. Unhappiness is the exact opposite. It's lack of purpose, plus isolation, plus neglecting health, plus materialism, plus chronic stress. So the question is if you're not at your optimal happiness right now, can you bucket one of these and say which one of these is out of whack? Because not if all of the other equations, like if you go back to the actual happiness formula right here, right there. If my happiness level is not what I want it to be, only one of these has to be 1 degree off for it to change the result. Not all of them have to be off. The question is which one may be off for you, Russie?
Can I make a little comment around that?
Please.
So,
With your little hands.
I think that sometimes we look at this, right, and we go, oh my gosh, like it feels like all these different things. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go right now and make a mission statement so that I can look at my purpose every morning and believe it. And I've got all these things, but realistically, this starts with like little tweaks in each area along the way. And it makes a huge impact. If you are committed to every day moving your body, for example, in whatever way that looks like, and then that makes you want to eat a little bit better. And you're probably going to sleep a little bit better, which is probably going to give you a little bit more clarity when you wake up in the morning on the stress that you're looking at for the day. But these things are just like little tweaks to them impact all the other pieces, right? So if you're like, I have a lack of purpose, well, what could you do that might make you feel like you have a bigger purpose? What are the little pieces you could do along the way? Because I feel like sometimes, like when we talked about this, at your house with our group during our SOS meeting, it feels like as simple as it is, because now you've made it into a formula. So it's just simple. You can follow it. It still requires action on your part. And I feel like we just think if we can't do everything right now, we can't do anything. Well, it can be little pieces. You can stop neglecting your health in one area. And that's going to lead you to want to not neglect it in another area, and another area. And then you might find your relationships are better because you're not miserable because you're not sleeping and you're not moving your body and you're not getting enough nutrition and all these things. Like it's all connected together, but it's just like little tiny steps towards it. It doesn't have to, like, you're not going to wake up tomorrow and be like, I've solved the formula and now I'm happy. Woo! You know, like it's little steps every day and making a decision to add those pieces together for the happiness formula.
Love it, thank you. So first question was, are your goals directly tied to your happiness? Well, first thing I would ask you to do is a little bit of follow-up homework to this, is just say, what is the goal I actually set business? What is the goal I actually set on the personal side? Will this make me happy? And if you can't say yes, be okay with change your goal a little bit. But don't, what your goal is isn't important to me. Your happiness is important. So I want them tied together, okay? Don't worry, the other 4 questions aren't as long of a conversation, so you're not gonna be here till 4. Question number 2, how certain are you that you will hit your goals this year? So it's interesting to me, going again back to January 1, let's say that you actually wrote down your goals that day. In that moment, if I came to you and said, how certain are you that you'll hit your goal? What would you tell me? 100%. I'm doing this. I'm in. Because in the safety of your house, without all the elements around you, it sounds easy. But day 1, your normal life starts showing up. Your old habits start showing up. All of a sudden you're like, wait, can I do this? So there was a moment where I was experiencing a little bit of stress myself. And I drew a line in my journal that looked like this. I've shared this with some of you before. But ultimately what I did is I drew a 1 line, and on one side I put a completely uncertain. And on the other side of that, I put 100% certain. So here's the question is, how certain am I that I'm going to hit my goals this year? I have never in my life been 100% certain. I could never say I have 100% certainty that I'm going to hit my goals this year. Why? I'm getting on a plane on Monday. That plane might go down. There's a chance. I don't think that's wood. But the point I'm making is there's things outside of my control that could keep me from hitting that, right? I might get diagnosed with something crazy. I might have something going on in my family that would keep me from doing it. That's outside of my control. But in this moment, I can't say 100% certain. But what I can say is if I got a marker out and gave each of you a marker and said, come up here and I want you to draw 2 dots on this line. Number 1 is I want you to make a dot of how certain you are you're going to hit your business goals. And I want to make a dot of how certain are you're going to hit your personal goals. Well, you'll come up here and put that dot on. And 3 hours later from now, if you came back and inspected it, meaning it's a live graph, that dot may have moved based on what you do for the next 3 hours. So the point I want to make with this is how I use my time. Every single second is increasing my probability or decreasing my probability of hitting my goal. Now, that's not me saying if I had a goal to do a marathon or an Ironman this year, that I got to spend 100% of my time training. Taking time off and spending time with my kids and getting re-energized and building those relationships gives me more energy to do the training tomorrow, right? Same thing as I shouldn't just be lead genning all day. Because I'm going to lead gen when I say I'm going to lead gen. And when I'm not lead genning, I'm going to do other things that elevate my energy, but it increases my probability of success. But the question I would have you look at, and I want you to start thinking of probabilities of when you wake up and how you treat your day, is this activity increasing my probability or decreasing my probability? But I can almost think of no scenario that it's neutral to your probability. That is a live graph moving. A great example of this is I think of an example. How often do you leave on time? Because you have an appointment at 1. I leave on time to make it there by 1. How often do you show up 15 minutes early? Almost never. But how often do you show up 15 minutes late when you leave on time? I know you're realtors. But the funny thing is we're not very good at actually forecasting our probability because we leave on time and we're consistently late. So we leave ourselves this little minor margin of error. So I would say on this, be realistic with this and say, what is the certainty? And if I looked at your calendar today, Rusty mentioned we're going to Las Vegas for family reunion. If we went to Las Vegas and one of the games was not blackjack, but what is the probability of success this person's gonna hit their goals. Would I put money on you? Would I go to the table and say, yeah, I'll bet $1,000 on the certainty of this? Like, it's not 100% certain, but if it was up here, playing up here, I'd be like, yeah, I think this is gonna happen, okay? But the question is would you bet on you? Really? You say you're betting on yourself today because you're showing up, but would you bet on you based on how you're showing up? Okay, so I still, anytime I'm feeling a little bit of stress or questioning something, if you looked in my past journals, you'd see this line several times. Certainty, where am I? If I had to graph it right now, how certain am I? If I'm only to hear what needs to happen next for me to move that probability up, okay? Number 3, what problem am I committed to solve for my customer? We've got to get past the I sell real estate, because that's not what we do. That's a result that we get the opportunity to help somebody do that. But what we really need to do is solve problems for people. So this to me is one of the biggest changes in our industry right now is we got to quit saying, well, anytime someone needs to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, I can help them do it because I know how to fill in the blanks on the form. These next couple of years are the differentiator of professionalism in our industry of somebody that's actually solving a problem. So the question is what problem am I really committed to solve for my customer? The only way we can know this is to really know the psyche of your customer. What did they wake up worried about today? So a couple of questions to think about is, what did my clients really wake up worried about today? And then on the other side of that, what did they wake up excited about today? Just ask ChatGPT. This might be a good place to start, but you've got to know your database better than anybody else. What percentage of a database actually does a transaction per year? 6%. So if you have 100 people in your database, 6 of them are going to have a transaction. Does that mean you do not care about the 94 other people in your database this year? No. So if you care about them, what problem are they worried about today? You shouldn't wait 7 years to solve a problem for them. Worse, you can't just count on 7 years you being like, our relationship is so deep that they're going to let me solve this problem for them in 7 years. You've got to prove to them that you're bringing value over and over and over again. And part of the problem we've done historically is we've tried to define what value means to the consumer and then force fed it to the consumer. Say, you should want to know this. You should do this. We need to flip that around. We need to better understand, what really did you wake up worried about today? And if I don't have the skill set, the habits, the knowledge to fix that problem, I'm going to go find it. Okay. So for example, my database more than likely is a bunch of other people just like me, 44-year-old people. A 44-year-old guy woke up this morning. What's he most worried about today? What do you guys think?
His kids being buying a house.
Okay, providing for the family. Like, okay, one of my biggest concerns right now is I'm figuring out how do I parent adult kids? I do not know how to do this. Right? I finally just started getting good at parenting the little kids. And now I don't have little kids. So that skill set is no good to me anymore. And now I have to learn how to do that. So is it fair to assume that people in my database are all also waking up like, oh, okay, I got to pay for college. Oh, wait, they don't come in and check in with me at night anymore. Like I'm staying up worried about them and not like, oh, good, they're home. Like, what are they out? Like, I'm worried about these things. So not to say that I should call my people and be like, are your kids out doing things and are they okay? That's not what I'm saying. But if you're worried about that, if they're worried about that, could I facilitate a group coming together to say, hey, this is the evolution of parenthood, and I've got a professional therapist coming in to talk about kids' needs in today's world, or hey, this is a way to help save for college, or hey, here's some ideas on how to tap into scholarships for kids going to college. Like, I could get into the psyche of people, and people in my database would be like, yeah, actually, we were having a conversation last night of how are we going to pay for college. Okay, so what are they worried about, and then what are they excited about? Like for me, like what are they excited about? Like there's some element of excitement about, okay, my kids are out, or all my kids are old enough that I can go on longer vacations without worrying about having a babysitter at the house. Like there's things that I'm excited about. Me asking a question like, how do I provide value around this? Okay. So part of this is understanding this looks like a fun game called Candyland, but
It looks like Chutes and Ladders.
oh, Chutes and Ladders.
Chutes and Ladders.
That's what I was looking for. See, I don't have little kids at home anymore. But here's the point I want to make. Historically, we would only get involved right here in a transaction. This says we bought our dream home. We'd say, awesome, we love each other. you're gonna be my client for life. We're gonna hang out, and then are we really hanging out with them right here? No, we're not. So what happens next? Down the road a little bit, all of a sudden they decide like, okay, we finally want to paint the inside of the house. We don't like the mustard yellow anymore. Who do they call right here?
We call you.
Should, but don't. Because we haven't articulated our value of we take care of all things real estate. They come here, it's time for landscaping, $10,000. They have a leaky faucet. They finally want a deep clean of the house. They're gonna refinance. They want to get a home equity loan. They're gonna remodel their kitchen. They want new hardwood. The point I'm making is, I want you to start thinking, yes, people in your database and relationships, but they have a relationship with a household. What are all things that are going to happen in relation to them owning a home? And how do you become the funnel to all of that value? This to me gets you in front of them on a regular basis of what do they wake up worried about today? I don't like my carpet anymore. If that's their concern, it should not be going to Google. It should be, I'm going to call Marcus and find out who his carpet person is so I can get a discount. Okay, something along those lines. But when you start thinking about this, what did my customer actually wake up? What, and more importantly, the first question is this: what problem am I actually trying to solve for my customer? On a personal note, for me, I would change this to say, as a parent, what problem am I committed to solve for my kids? What value am I committed to solve for my children today? If I don't understand, and my teenage girls love to say this to me, Dad, you don't understand what it's like to be a teenage girl. And they're right, I don't. But can I ask them questions to get a better understanding of what the problems are? So I can say, oh, well, I have some perspective that maybe I can provide some value there. That's my job, okay? What service, knowledge, opportunity can I provide to create some happiness for my customer, my kid, my spouse, myself? Okay, we need to ask the question. And for us to do that, we need to master the MOFR. MOFR, what does MOFR stand for? Make offer of immediate response. We need to get better at this. So let's say that I got really good at understanding my database and I answered the question perfectly of what did they wake up worried about? What did they wake up excited about? That's not the end of the story. I've got to trigger action. I've got to create immediate response. It's not enough for me just to put it out on social media and wait. It's not enough for me to say, I do these things and send out a flyer or a reminder to my people or an email and wait. How do I make an offer for immediate response? This is how you'll gauge if you're really on the right track of understanding what their needs are, is if it is important to them, they will react. So how do I do this in a way that's coming from a place of value and not a way of, caught you? Because a lot of ClickFunnels are, I'm trying to catch you. So let's go back to the example of the chutes and ladders.
Shoots and ladders.
Chutes and ladders. Oh, chutes and ladders. So if I know there's a big piece of my database that are going to do remodel this year, how do I make an offer for immediate response? Could it be that because this vendor does so much work for me that they're willing to give all of my clients a 15% discount? Could I go back? Could I go out to any of my clients and say, hey, so one of my clients just got carpet done. It was amazing, such an incredible price. Because of my loyalty to this contractor, I can get all of my customers 15% off in the next 30 days. I'm reaching out to all of my preferred database to see if they want that. So let them make offer for immediate response. How do you do that on something non-real estate related? Okay, let's go back to the idea of my database of people wondering how to pay for college. Okay, let's say that we did a bunch of research on all the scholarships available. And actually, I'm surprised at how many scholarships go unpaid every year. It's amazing. People have all these monies and grants set aside that nobody applies for. So what if I put together a specialist, a school counselor, I paid him to come in here in this room to teach a class to everybody about how to tap into untapped or unbridled resources for paying for college. And I reached out to all my database and said, hey, if you have a kid going to college in the next couple of years, this is the class you need to go to. It could save you thousands of dollars. And by the way, I've got something we can do with those thousands of dollars. We can start investing it in real estate. But first, let's focus on saving money. How many people in my database would come to that class? Not all of them. Would some of them? Probably. Okay. So make offer for immediate response. It's next Tuesday. Can I count on you? Okay. And you could do this in a fun way. For example, I love shooting guns. I went out to a big chunk of my database. I think some of you in the room, I actually invited. If any of you want to go, let me know. But I'm holding a guy's craft night. We're going to go build custom AR-15s from ground up. Or ladies. Just guys in the way of people.
Oh,
But we're building custom AR-15s from ground up, something that I love doing. I was like, I'm gonna go do this. Why not open up my database? Right now, I think we have 30 people that wanna come do it. Okay, so it's gonna be fun. 31? 31? Oh, I thought yours was on 31. So if you're interested, let me know. But the point I'm making is, this has nothing to do with real estate. But it's something I wanted to do, but now I took it out to my database, as people want to do it with me. Okay, I'm building relationships. Any questions on that? So here's the question is, with your plan of connecting with your people, do you have a clear MOFR? What's your offer of immediate response? Is it in alignment with your customers' happiness? Remember, we started the conversation with, are your goals tied to your happiness? Is your offer tied to your customers' happiness? That's going to create an immediate response. They're going to find value in it. Number 4, does the infrastructure of my business match the goals that I set? I see I have till 12:45, right? Okay. Does the infrastructure of my business match the goals that I set? Does the infrastructure of my personal life match the goals that I set? Does the infrastructure of how my calendar is set up match my personal goals or my business goals? So this to me is one of the biggest disconnects, particularly for somebody that is experiencing success to some level, but they want to get to the next level, is we become complacent. And we can become committed to habits because they worked for us in the past. Those same habits that were helping you achieve a certain amount of success that was your goal become part of your DNA. They become part of who you are. And we think that that same habit should create a bigger result because we had momentum from here to here. We think that those same activities should continue to have momentum moving forward. But what happens with that momentum is it actually goes up, and then you have a lid of your success based on that. It's going to bell out and it's going to flatline if you continue all things the same. In this market where there's less transactions per population, those same habits actually are going to diminish results, not even flatline results. Okay, so we have to ask this question: if I want to be a better version of me, does my database, my calendar, my message, my org chart, my training, my leadership, etc., match that goal? So if you look at your goal this year and you want to increase your transactions by 20%, not everything in your business has changed. There's things inside your business that have worked incredibly well for you to get you to that point. But something does have to change. It's your job to be so intimately involved with your business or have a coach or a mentor help you see it to know what does have to change. What are the couple levers or cogs that have to change a little bit? What levers do I have to introduce to my world that will break me through that next level of ceiling? Christy. Love it. Mindset. Probably should have been first. I'm going to run all my slides by you now. No, you're right. Mindset should be first. It's my mindset match. Any thoughts on this?
I just want to, one thing along these lines, like there's a lot of times people tell me I want to have this goal or this is what I want to do this year. But when you look at their calendar, there's 0 changes reflected and there's 0 new skill sets they're learning. And the reality is like your calendar is going to set the stage for your success or your failure both ways. And if you don't become a master of that, and that doesn't mean that your calendar should reflect all work. That should also mean like sometimes the biggest, like we think about the day before we go on vacation, how much stuff do you get done? Stuff. I tried to censor myself. How much stuff do you get done the day before you leave on vacation? Right? Well, I didn't say it. So if I have something in my calendar that I'm like, I know I have got to be done working by this time today because I have something fun in my calendar that I'm going to do with my family or whatever, I'm going to be way more purposeful throughout the day. And I think that that's like, it's a good place to start. Your mindset's critical. And then also just making sure that you're really looking at it and saying, if I want to do something I've never done before, what do I have to do differently? Because the answer is not, I think a lot of times people go, I don't want to double my business because that means double the work. That is not the answer. It's not working, instead of working 10 hours a day, it's working 20 hours a day. That's not the answer. The answer is being more purposeful in every single one of these things.
I love that. How many of you have found yourself where you're year after year experiencing the same pain you felt before? Like in your business, I can think of several examples of agents that I coach that every year we're trying to solve the same problem of leverage. Okay. So it's the same thing on the personal side. It's like I'm carrying around the same 15 pounds that I was carrying around last year that I was committed to lose, or whatever it is, or I'm running a mile at the same pace that I ran last year, whatever it is. There's two possibilities. One is that you haven't grown. You're not making an effort to actually grow. And you haven't identified what needs to change to increase that. The other one was, I thought of what it was a second ago. What was the other probability? Oh, well, you. Aging and senility. You tried something and failed at it. But if you try something new and it doesn't yield the result, you're creating the same outcome, right? So the question is, how do you deal with failure? And to me, I hate the word, have this negative connotation around failure, and there is a definition of failure that is negative, of giving up. But there's also a positive definition of failure, which is learning. So if I'm experiencing the same pain over and over and over again, is it one that I'm complacent, not making an effort, so I'm experiencing the same element of pain? Or is it that I tried something that didn't work, but what did I learn from it? So I can try something else. Because something will work. Very rarely will the first thing work. Even if it was somebody else that this is exactly how I did, exactly what you're trying to do, almost always exactly what worked for them won't work exactly for you. Elements of it will. You got to tweak it and make it your own. It's only through trial and error to do that. So it's really analyzing this. Does the infrastructure of my business match the goals that I set? Okay. Last question. Who do I need to be to achieve my goals this year? Which, Chrissy, too, this goes back to what you're saying, is that mindset piece of, if I'm going to be a better version of me, like I need to grow. I need to believe in myself to do it. So if I'm going to increase my income, if I'm going to increase my health, if I'm going to increase my relationships with people, it's not me trying to change them so my goals happen. It's who do I need to become? That's why if you come to the business planning clinic, what do I always end on? Personal growth plan. It's we set a business goal, and then you look at what is your personal growth plan? Who do you need to become so that you earn the right for the results of your goals? So there's a difference of identity-based goals I love because it's about you becoming versus what are called intrinsic versus extrinsic goals. Intrinsic goals, these are driven by internal rewards and aligned with personal values, passion, and a sense of purpose. Versus extrinsic goals, these are motivated by external rewards, recognition, or material outcomes. It doesn't mean that it's not okay to set. It is important to set income goals, what you're trying to accomplish, because that gross commission income is going to equate to net income, is going to equate to net worth, which is going to determine the quality of the life you're going to live moving forward. So that's important. But more important is the intrinsic goals of like, well, who am I becoming by this? I look at my business journey of all the skills that I've learned in building businesses and running businesses and coaching individuals. And guess what it did? It actually made me a better parent. It's made me more attentive and listening to my parents and asking the right questions. It's helped me with relationships, even though the skills I learned as a business person weren't for those things. It was a result of me becoming better at that. Same thing on the other side of it. Me being a girl dad and growing up, slowing down and playing dolls with my kids probably made me better in my job in some ways. Okay. So they're not, even though we set the goals differently, they're not exclusive of each other, but it's identifying, are all of my goals extrinsic goals that is just like, yep, I made that money. If it is, think about it this way. If I made a goal in 2025 to make $250,000, and at the end of the year, I make that goal, what happens on January 1st of 2026? I have to do it all again. I have to set a new goal that either yes or no hit it. If I set a becoming goal at the end of 2025, guess what I get to walk into on January 1 of 2026? I get to keep the result of that goal because that's who I am. It's a version of me walking into 2026 that's going to have a result on my extrinsic goals. Does that make sense? So who is it that you're really trying to become? Like, who is the best version of you? What are the things you love about yourself? And what are the things that you see a bigger possibility in yourself? Notice that I didn't say, what are the things you hate about yourself? Because I don't think you should hate anything about yourself. I think you should see it as an opportunity of growth. Yes.
And what you're just saying there, that all ties right into your MOFR, because that helps you to identify or figure out how you can contribute to that.
I love that. All these questions are tied together, and it starts with you. Yes, Christy. I love your comments, by the way. I was teasing.
So one thing I'm doing this year is with my growth is ask myself, like when that mindset kicks in and I start falling back to old patterns, my way out of that is that version is no longer.
I love
and it
that.
Helps me get right back on track with what I'm trying to do now.
I love that. There was someone taught me the as if principle a long time ago. I don't know if you guys have heard the as if principle. It starts by defining who it is you want to become, and then just start acting as if you're already that person. Because if you start acting as if you're that person, guess what happens? You become that person, and that means the old person doesn't exist. For a minute, while you're acting as that person, where internally your DNA is telling you you're not that person, this person tries to take over and be like, you're not that person. Why are you even trying? But until you act as if you were that person, then you become that person, and it squashes the last version of 1.0 to 2.0. So I love that. I think that's a big thing. And to Rusty's point earlier, I don't, from a wealth standpoint, for example, I don't need to go from where I'm at to Elon Musk tomorrow. Like, that's unrealistic. It'd be really easy. It'd be hard for me to say, I'm gonna start acting as if I'm Elon Musk. I'm gonna go buy a Ferrari today. Okay. But what I can do is like, can I build habits, start acting, saving my money as if I'm becoming that person? Like, what are the habits that he had back then that affected who he is today? Okay. I love all those comments. Thank you. So I would just always break down, what are my skills? What's the next evolution of my skills? We are in a learning-based business. Like, it is a relationship business, but we have to learn. You're like, we were talking to our kids about their homework and their grades. How good are you at learning? Like, how many of you actually took time to learn today? You're doing it right now, which I love. But on a personal level, do you have a pattern of learning in your world? Okay. Skills, habits, relationships. You've heard me talk before about the difference between a coach, mentor, and peers. I think all three of them are important. Have you identified who is your coach in every aspect of your life? Who are your mentors? Who are your peers that are also trying to do the same thing? Systems, tools, etc. And then making sure you're referencing your personal growth plan. So those are my 5 questions. Was that helpful? Was that thought-provoking?
Good.
Yeah, it's always.
There's nothing I want more for you than to find happiness, because that's what I want for me. It's a journey. It's not one day that I wake up and say, check, I was happy today, and the next day, check, I wasn't happy. It's not that. Find happiness in the journey, because there is no element of like measurement of today, I am perfectly happy, success. Can you find joy and happiness in the journey? And that is progression. Donna, do you have a comment?
Well, it kind of goes along with everything you've been saying, something Christy said with mindset. Stress is a big deal, right? We deal with stressful situations all the time. And I think if we look at stress in a different way, like if we look at stress like it's an opportunity, like the stressful situation comes up, and instead of just having this overwhelming feeling of, oh, this is so stressful, how do I do that? If you flip that switch, you go, this is stress. I recognize it. It's an opportunity. What can I learn? How can I grow? Because at the end of the day, none of us, it takes a village. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And the way we respond to that stress is also another opportunity to influence somebody else. So, and it doesn't happen overnight. You just don't go, oh, stress. Yay, I'm glad to see. Like, it's hard, right? Like, it's hard. But if you start to every day recognize something that was challenging in your day, when you start to make tiny little micro habits of going, that happened. What can I learn? How can I grow? How can I be better? How can I inspire? How can I influence? Like, all of that, then it starts to get a little easier. Then stressful situations. I don't, very stressful 2 weeks. And this morning I texted somebody and said, you know, the last couple of weeks have given me an opportunity to learn patience, grace, but like, and I listed like all the things that I was like, you know what? I'm going to make something good of it. But I think if we make mindsets, my life exactly what you said. Mindset is everything.
I thank you for this comment. And this comes down to mindfulness. If you don't, like, if you're just like, I'm stressed and move forward, then you guess what is probably going to happen tomorrow? You're going to be stressed. If you recognize the stress and say, slow down for a second. Well, why am I stressed? What do I need to learn from this? Did I invite this? Could I have avoided this? If we're not taking time for a little bit of mindfulness, you're going to count on the same result over and over again. The other thing I think that comment you made that I think is important is, are you around people that know you enough and what you're trying to accomplish? That if Donna showed up in my office all stressed out and I was like, we'll get to that. Are you okay? Is there something going on in your world that I can help with? Like, do you have someone in your world that could ask you that question? If not, you need to think about who's in your circle. Tim.
I would say that most agents, they give everything to everybody, their clients, their family, their kids, and they take home what's left over. And so I think it's for this personal growth brand, they have to fill that own bucket first, whatever capacity that is, so that you're full to be able to give.
Love that. Thank you. Okay, so I'll send these slides out, so you guys can have them if you want them. I just threw this in there too. You may have saw this on my blog post. When I did my goal setting retreat with my kids this year, I sent them these 11 questions, 2 days before to have them reflect on their year. We had such an awesome conversation, with my kids. It was so fun, that we actually took a lot longer than we had planned for the goal setting retreat, just because they got really into talking through these. And so, I just wanted to throw these in there. If you want to look at them in a reflection from last year, there's people in your world you want to have a conversation with. It served my family well this year, so I'll send those out. And then if you're not following me on my podcast, I'd love to have you follow me there. And then, there was one more slide that I don't know where it went. Gladys maybe took it out because we already started. For those of you that are leaning into the Leadership Unlocked conversation, week 2, so the second week, conversation is happening tomorrow. But we had an incredible leadership conversation last week. If you still wanted to participate, just shoot me an email and let me know, and we can get you involved and get you the recording from last week.
Send that slide out too.
Okay.
It's not-
But I just really love that conversation. We have 3 more weeks. The next 3 Thursdays will be leadership conversation around that.
Can I say something about that?
Please.
So I think that a lot of times I was super excited to see who showed up in that conversation, because I feel like sometimes if we don't have like a title of leader, then we think that those kind of things aren't for us. And you're a leader in so many different areas in your world. And particularly for me, like I took so many notes and there was just like so many ahas that I'm like, one of the big things that's just been rolling around in my brain all week was your core values exercise. And we all get into decision fatigue. And I feel like I've had a little bit about that. And if you rely on your core values, like to me, that was worth the price of admission just itself. To be like, you know what, is that in alignment, or if it isn't? Because if it isn't, it makes it really easy to make the decision. And it will help eliminate that decision fatigue, because it's the filter you're running everything through. So there were so many good nuggets last week. If you didn't join, it's not too late. And like half my team couldn't make it. We had a regional thing. And you can go back and watch the recording, but it was so powerful. Thank you for doing it.
Yes.
Since I put it in my calendar to review the core values, Sam asked me about it, and it was really cool because we started talking about core values together too. So I think that that does mean something. Like you're not just a leader like in business, it's in your family too.
Yeah, you're a leader in so many different areas that I think sometimes we forget about, like friend groups, community, your business, your family. Like there's just so many
Or
different
you're really
areas that
opinions
you're
like I am. Oh, I am different.
Yeah.
Even though I don't identify as that.
I identify with it. Okay, thank you for that. If you want to participate, let me know. We can send out the flyer or send me an email. We have a sponsor. Awesome. Who wants to introduce? Thank you guys for letting me come and talk.
It was Einstein.
Marcus, thank you for doing that. You guys, I think sometimes we forget how lucky we are that we just have access to this guy because he lives by us and is legally obligated to come teach in the market center so many times a year. I'm gonna rewrite the contract. It's gonna be increasing. But anyway, still think that was really great. Today we have Rex. Hi, Rex.
Hi.
With PNP of Utah. Come on down. The floor is yours. Way. There you go.
I'm excited to be here. It was fun to walk in and see Donna sitting in the back, over a little bit. I'm Rex from Property Management Pros of Utah. We are a property manager in northern Utah. We differ a little bit from other property managers in that I'm a licensed realtor, but I don't sell real estate at all. What we do with, and that's, I guess, why I'm here to talk to you, is we want to partner with realtors. That if you have somebody that wants to have a property that's managed, we'll actually offer you a referral fee, because we are realtors, of 3 months of the property management fees back to you. We also keep copious notes of who's given us referrals. And if that individual later on wants to sell their property, we'll contact you and say, hey, they're ready to sell their property. We want you to sell it. But the caveat with that is we hope in our organization that we have an investor that wants to buy it. So our hope is that we can actually provide you the seller, which you already know, as well as the buyer, so that we actually keep those properties in our organization as well. I've done this a little bit. I think a few of you may know Liz Sears. I think she worked in this office. So we did this with her. One of our processes in our business is that we wait until we actually place the tenants. So it was like 2 months after she gave us the referral. And I showed up and gave her a check and she was like, oh, I totally forgot. I didn't think that you were really gonna do this. And I'm like, yeah, this is really what we do. So I'm happy to sponsor lunch. I'm happy to sit and talk with any of you if you have any questions for me. We're a full service, manage all aspects of property management. And love to take care of your customers so that they can be your repeat customers and good customers for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. For this, so if you have a question, okay, Rex is gonna hang out, you can ask him your one-on-one questions, he'll be here for a minute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, guys.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.
Nobody run down by anyone.
We need it.
February 5th. Are you?
Are you?
I'm one of the two.
If I'm not.
Yes. I get nice for photos. You did. Training anyway. So Caleb is on the left side. Been elsewhere.
No, actually.
Two brothers that are in the sport, we have the back. Usually stay in Utah. Front office to you that actually got stuff done.
drop the file in. It will transcribe like alert. Yeah. Go. Now, you can't understand the stack again. That's true, that's true. We build each other up, with each other over there. Bro, you can hold my, this game, I get a fortune. I get a trophy on the thing. Crazy nonsense. You're getting. Test what you
I can't get on command, I can't export. But they're probably all.
Yeah, could be true. Either one. I don't. Yeah. Turn it on like.
Great. So. Yeah.
Well, because I'm thinking. Anyone want chocolate?
I haven't seen it with that iteration yet. So I don't believe I don't see it. Did you? Uh-huh. Okay. I would not have noticed it. Your whole. Putting my foot in my mouth, I'm like, so where are you guys moving to? It's like, well. I was like, oh. Good. Feel that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta try this. Okay, Nadine. Take it back. Oh, yeah.
She had.
Yeah.
Started in, it was in, right?
Yeah.
I think we can start where I'm staying. I expected it to be like a problem, it's kind of-
Done.
Yeah.
So I started. Okay.
Hello, how are you?
I'm lovely, how are you doing?
Good.
You don't have that metaphysical.
Like,
Going for it. That's funny, I woke up at 4:45.
Yeah, oh, I was supposed to be up at 5:30 to go drive, and I texted my boss, I was like, I don't think I should be driving this morning. All night.
Good time or not good time?
No, not good. Well, no, I'm good enough.
Fair enough. Doing things.
Yeah. Yeah. And all of a sudden I looked at the clock and it's like 5 a.m. and I'm like, ah, crap. All right, well, that happens in the office, it's playing in the background. And
That, who changed the office? Oh.
Show the office.
No, I get that. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember the good old days when I could watch it on Netflix.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, so I've been working on that. I finally, my nonprofit, like, I had to move up down. So now that that's finally approved, I'm like, okay, now I can actually, turn on profit shit that. Eventually it was like, it's a health nonprofit. Eventually I want to put in a subsidized therapy clinic. But for now, like, just kind of focused on the community, providing. Pretty much informed on the.
Okay.
Yeah, we have volunteers already. About, well, no, content always good.
Your opinion, what?
Yeah. Like, luckily that one's online. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you getting started or?
I'll finish my master's in a year. Yeah, I decided to finish my HR degree. And then I'm getting a master's in real estate development and a master's in public administration. Yeah, and then I'll, at the same time, like, as soon as I finish my bachelor's, I enroll in hopefully within 4 years, I'll be like attorney. I know. Well, you know, the thing was, just go get your JD. Yeah, exactly. I realized when I was like buying and selling my commercial, a couple of years ago, I got really fed up with the fact that I wasn't in a hurry and I could do like the business meeting, like I couldn't write my own contract, like. Really weird, you know, it's way more benefits to be able to write your own thing. Like, okay, yeah, I'll do that, and then I can help people with really audit things. Put my client out in the trust, because I need it early, to see one. And then have that done, you close. Seriously, like. Well, I'm, you know, it would be interesting to go. In my. That's ran by. Cause you know how like basically like if there's a clinic, we have a bunch of people who have cancer. They can start. They run that. I really have a team that really can we provide service that you don't have to. You kind of have people that are like you, somebody else quality. That's 4 years down the road. You're down that.
It means I've got to.
Yeah.
Got to tilt now.
Yeah, do some stuff. I've got a client who's hopefully got two, one that wants to sell and ready to go.
There you go. Come and go.
Yeah, like, yeah, literally.
Get him across.
Yeah. I started on that. reintroduce myself to my SOI license. Like, hey guys, I've been here for a year, but I'm on Stelly.
Makes you, I would say that.
Remember when I was on fire? I'm coming back.
I'm reigniting.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. I really have like this thing. Okay, here's what I can.
that's marketing genius.
Here's what I can.
You, I think you have to cycle this.
Okay, so
Like, that's the main thing.
have you seen the car I drive? Okay, I drive, you kind of shit. $400. When I wrecked my own car, and it's something you buy, I was like, you know what? Trying this till then. 2 years later, it's still going. Yeah. And it's like the funniest thing. Drive to this. Be like, should hire me, but whatever. It hasn't been a problem.
I'm saying, nobody.
And so I think it's.
Let me rephrase, like, nobody in mode,
Yeah.
Weaver, Dade
Don't you
County,
really know me, really don't care. There you go, I'm all. Yeah. I was telling my sister, I'm like, I'm gonna pull up in my car, and like, come back. And the song's gonna be Guess Who's Back, back again, I'm gonna get out of my car, I'm gonna big break, I'm like sunglasses, big fur coat.
Right.
I'm gonna step out, when I don't know. And I'm like, I told them. Last few years, me. That was, oh yeah, like, that's really what. With a lot of. So I'm like, oh, I decided if I want the Budweiser can to fall out of my house. Then it's a new year, new me. Or if I want to leave that part behind. We're gonna play.
As somebody who has a deep relationship to the alcoholism. My side, my side.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious.
I think it's funny. Too.
I think it's hilarious.
I'm like, I think it's like authentic, it's genuine.
It is.
And so I'm like,
It is.
but
It is.
some people might. But I want to like,
The question is, do you care about?
no, that's the thing. Like,
If they don't find that funny, they probably are your people.
exactly.
So.
But yeah, it's definitely. I'm like,
I'm looking forward.
it's one of those things where, like, I need to help me feel like it's
Right.
so good. I'm just gonna have like my, you know, like.
I love it, dude.
Hashtag keep eating out of alcohol.
There you go, right? Yeah, don't invite me to the bar. No, just send me your room.
If I'm too busy selling real estate, I can't have time to get it. That's so important.
Oh, yeah.